The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Mike Zullo, let me just ask you. So when you stood before sheriffs, I mean, you were in a meeting, behind closed doors meeting, that was supposed to last about an hour, and it went on for almost 3 hours or maybe more. You stood before sheriffs, police chiefs, attorneys, elected official, constitutional attorney. I mean, and you presented that entire criminal investigation. By the way, since then, more stuff has come in. More people have come forward. More information has come to light. More investigation has been done. But just a few months ago, I mean, you gave all of the criminal evidence you had to all of these peers, these law enforcement and officials. Did anybody there laugh at what you had? Did anybody mock or scoff? I mean, did they say, oh, well, that's a bunch of birther junk? What was their reaction?
No, it was actually just the opposite. People that never followed it were shocked. People that followed it to some extent were more convinced than ever. As a matter of fact, a constitutional attorney is trying to get in touch with me, I just found out,
right.
Because this individual wants to help. That's how overwhelming the evidence is.
Yeah.
And you have to keep in mind, too, that it's not the evidence of the birth certificate itself. It's other evidence surrounding this, other evidence that we've acquired that puts the whole picture together.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, you're right. And Mike, isn't it safe for me to say, for those that are listening to this broadcast that have been concerned about this for years, and they've been trying to get attention of other people only to be marginalized and called a birther and trashed and, name called, isn't it safe to say that these people, regardless of whether Congress ever investigates this or not, based upon what you know, based upon what you're holding, based upon the affidavit you filed, based upon this document examiner out of Hawaii that used to work for Perkins Coie, Obama's law firm, based upon this peer review of Congress people, elected people, constitutional attorneys, etc., isn't it safe to say that those that have been concerned about this, let's go ahead and call ourselves the birthers right now, since that's what the Obama bots have called us. Isn't it safe to say we've been vindicated? I mean, we're right, whether Congress ever looks at this or not.
Well, I think so, Carl, and I think you could take the reactions that we're getting from elected officials. If they thought that this was nothing and people were really, really bothering them, they would hold a 24-hour hearing and deem it all good.
Yeah.
They're not doing that.
Yeah.
They're not doing that because they know there's something terribly wrong here.
Right. It's my understanding they're on recess now. I think Congressman Miller is in his Pensacola office. I know Dan McFall, as chief of staff, was taking phone calls from there the other day, or at least at that phone number. And for the local regional area folks, that phone number is 850-479-1183. 479-1183. 479-1183. Again, go to carlgalps.com and get all that information. And we'd like people from all over the nation to call. We know we have a huge national audience, and the Congressman needs to hear. They need to know that we are enraged at the wimpiness, I mean, they're just trashing their oath. They're just throwing down the Constitution. Some of them, like we've just presented, have admitted, we know this guy's not for real. We know he's not eligible, but hey, they voted for him, so let's move on. What are we living in, a banana republic? Mike Zullo, what's next? What's next in the process? Well, you've got some more meetings. You've got some things in the works. I know there's a lot that's going on that you can't tell us, but can you give us any hints?
Well, I do have more meetings. As a matter of fact, I have one next week. We're just going to keep pushing forward, Carl.
Right.
You just can't stop. If
right.
you stop, it's a guarantee that it goes nowhere.
Right.
You have to keep trying. You have to keep fighting the fight. And, as days go on, there's even more news publications by people that are talking now, and stories related around this birth certificate from Reggie Love,
right,
a close associate to Mr. Obama, made an astonishing admission that the birth certificate was lost and then he found it.
Right.
He didn't find it. They spent $2 million making sure nobody could find it, and then what did they write to Hawaii for?
Right, exactly.
He found it?
But yet his body man, Reggie Love, says just a few days ago, like you just said, where we were looking all over for it, we couldn't find it, but we finally found it. What? Oh, my gosh. Well,
that's what happens when you keep telling lie upon lie, you
yeah.
can't remember the lie you told 5 days ago.
That's right. You can't remember who you told it to and who's going to tell the next lie.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.